Welcome to the special Holy Week edition of Sunday School Storytime with Susanna. Thanks for joining. The lesson we're going to do today is actually a lesson from a couple weeks ago, but I wanted to save it for Holy Week and give an extra Storytime lesson this week because it is such a special week. So this week's Bible lesson is from Matthew chapter 26, verses 36 to 46. The lesson is titled Jesus Prays. I'm once again reading from the Deep Blue Bible Storybook edition. So this Bible story takes place after the Last Supper, after Jesus ate with his disciples, and after he broke bread and did communion. Jesus and the disciples kept walking on to the Mount of Olives until they came to a garden called Gethsemane. Jesus said, "Please stay here while I go pray." Jesus, Peter, and Zebedee's two sons walked further in. Jesus began to feel sad and worried. Jesus said to his three friends, "I am very sad. It is as if I am dying. Please stay here while I pray. Keep watch." Jesus walked a little farther into the garden. He fell on his face and prayed, "My Father, if it's possible, take this cup of suffering away from me. However, let things be not as I want, but as you want them to be." Jesus walked back to his friends. They were asleep. Jesus said to Peter, "Couldn't you stay awake while I prayed? Stay awake while I pray some more." For a second time, Jesus went away and prayed, "My Father, if it's not possible that this suffering be taken away, unless I go through it, then let things be as you want." Again, Jesus walked back to his friends to find them asleep, so he went back to pray a third time. This time Jesus prayed, "Father, please take away my pain if you can." Then Jesus came back to his disciples and said, "Will you sleep all night? It's time for my arrest. Get up. My betrayer is here." I'm going to read a little passage about that Bible story as well. There is something comforting in knowing the Son of God has experienced human emotions such as sadness and anxiety. Jesus knows how it feels. He gets it. Just as we can be comforted by these thoughts, we can also learn from Jesus' example in the way he responded to these emotions. Jesus prayed. We can also pray and receive comfort when we are sad and anxious. Prayer does not always mean getting what you want. Jesus asked God to take away his suffering. We know that isn't what happened. Jesus ultimately prayed for God's will to be done rather than his. And just as Jesus turned his troubles over to God, we can too. So this week I have a very special prayer idea and maybe a different way that you can try to pray. So this is called a breath prayer. And sometimes we can become sad, confused, or afraid. When we feel this way, it's important to remember to breathe. Our breath is a gift from God. So to practice this breath prayer, what you do is you take a deep breath, and then you blow it out. And as you breathe in, you can say the word fear. You can say it out loud or in your mind. Fear. And as you breathe out, you can say the word calm. Calm. Now you can say those with your words or you can say them in your mind. Let's try again. Fear. Calm. What you can also be doing is when you breathe in, you can think about all your troubles and your worries, and as you breathe out, you could breathe them right out of you. Place them in God's hands. Let God's will be done with those troubles and those worries. Remember that you are a child of light and you are connected to every part of creation. You are perfect and whole. So, continue to do your deep breathing, do your breath prayer, and repeat that until you feel a sense of peace and calm. Sometimes it might happen right away. Sometimes it might take you a few minutes to feel that way. But just remember that it is all in God's hands. Now, for this week's craft idea, we are going to make prayer beads. Or essentially, we're going to make a prayer bead chain. Okay? So, I didn't have any beads at my house, so I used a pipe cleaner and some buttons. So feel free, if you have beads and string, to use that. If you don't, you can use buttons and a pipe cleaner or whatever else. Some people use worry stones. They find rocks. You can use those and line them up as well. So basically what you're going to need is you're going to need 6 items, if they're beads or buttons or stones. And these 6 items represent the 6 weeks of Lent. So you're going to put these beads or buttons or whatever you're using on the string, okay? And with each bead or button, you're going to say a prayer, okay? So, dear God, we remember your son Jesus. That's the first bead. We remember Jesus' teachings. We remember Jesus' words. We remember Jesus' ways. We remember Jesus' death. And we remember Jesus' new life. Amen. And so you can keep this, you can make it into a necklace or a bracelet, or you can just kind of hang it up and have it nearby you. And when you see these, it can be a reminder to pray. Okay? So once again, dear God, we remember your son Jesus. We remember Jesus' teachings. We remember his words. We remember Jesus' ways. We remember his death. And we remember his new life. Amen. Well, I'd like to end this Sunday School Storytime with Susanna with a prayer. And I'd like to say the Lord's Prayer together. So please join me. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.